I stand before you tonight with somewhat of a broken heart. Last Yom Kippur, I was reminded from the first shift that I spoke about my mother as saying that you should call your mother every day. That's what the person remembered. And actually, since I said that, I've been calling her every day. Well, in May, my mother had neck surgery. And in June, she fell and broke her arm and several bones in her face. And in July, she fell again and broke her pelvis. So for the first time ever, my mother is not in synagogue on Kol Nidre. Dad's here, but Mom's not. And they don't have computers, so there's no streaming, and someone's going to burn a DVD, and we'll take it to her later, and everyone say, "Hi, Mom." Breaks my heart. First time she fell, I was standing right next to her. Second time she fell, all she did was turn to get something. And as mothers tend to do, she is teaching me incredibly valuable lessons. Because mothers teach. They teach their children when they are young, when they are adults. My guess is they also teach their children long after they're gone. There is this voice that we have that our mothers have taught us. And this is what my mother and I have learned from this ordeal. Lessons that many of you have already learned. I could look out in the congregation and call you by name because I know you have learned these lessons. First lesson, by the grace of God, go I. Life is so fragile. So fragile. We're one diagnosis away, one step away. Do you know the word for independence in Hebrew is atzmaut, which is also the same word for bone and skeleton. If we can't stand, we can't be independent. And this we've learned terribly much from my mother's ordeal, who is now standing and walking, but not so much sitting. By the grace of God, we are so fragile. We were walking down Evanston with Shiri and her fiancé, Ilan, and his girlfriend, and Omri's mother. And suddenly Ezra, one of them said, I think Ezra, wow, this day has just gone perfectly according to plan. And then somebody, without even skipping a beat, said, yeah, that's how life is. It goes exactly according to plan, except for when it doesn't go according to plan. And then Lital, 21 years old, said, and that makes all the difference in life. How you deal with what doesn't go according to plan defines you. Not the way that you make your goals and set out to live your life's plan, but how you manage to walk in a kind of crooked path, catching yourself. Because, friends, by the grace of God, life is so fragile. And you know, because I know your stories, that when something happens and that fragility of life comes right before you, another lesson is learned equally as powerful and sometimes even more frightening. And that is, you can't beat mortality. You can't beat mortality. We're not going to live forever. And particularly, I think this generation believes that we're smart enough, connected enough, wise enough, know how to advocate, know how to get things done, know how to pick up the phone and make a call, can go to this specialist, that specialist, can travel. We have access. We have wisdom. We can do it. But you can't. And correlating to that, the medical profession is not only about healing. It's about politics and bureaucracy and doctors who make mistakes and doctors and specialists who don't know, because truthfully, as much as medicine is about science, it is also an art. And sometimes, almost all the time, we get to the edge of what we know to be true and the rest, mystery. How many doctors did we say, well, why and what and how come and what? No answers. And every now and then, a doctor, at the height of arrogance, not wanting to admit that they don't know, gives you some answer that is absolutely irrelevant. And every now and then, one professional, another doctor, or perhaps a nurse, doesn't see an old person lying there in bed, but sees the human being. Because, frankly, by the grace of God, do we all go. So life is fragile, and we can't beat mortality. And sometimes, so it seems, as all of you know, because you've told me, despair is inevitable. There are some days that you say, I can't anymore. And in that moment of despair is an incredible honesty, how soul confronts truth. But then, with soul confronting truth, sometimes soul confronts truth also with a sense of love and grace. And that despair, if it lingers too long, is dangerous, more than broken bones. And you know this because you've told me. Because the other side of despair is hope and light. And the sun shines through the window. And the birds really do sing out a song. And life really, really is grand, even when it gets small from your sick room bed. It is beautiful. And love and companionship is beautiful. And community is all-knowing and all-powerful. And what we all share in common is the absolute knowledge that life is fragile and we can't beat mortality. And that we bear our souls of any time in life on this particular day. And that hope springs eternal. And that light heals even when doctors can't. Fragility. Mortality, despair giving way to hope, all brings us to one grand place, and that is humility. Because our arrogance will get us nowhere. Ultimately, when we understand the fragility of life, the gift of that is understanding the smallness of ourselves. Humility. A person of faith surrenders and becomes small because the love of their faith is so large that it casts a shadow on their soul. If we understand anything tonight, tomorrow afternoon, that is, life is best when we find the way to relinquish the illusion of control and surrender to something larger than ourselves, to a love that is abiding and can uplift and that can carry us and that can stroke our cheek in the face of fragility and can hold our hearts in the face of despair. and can take away our fear even in the face of our mortality. Love abides, and love is all over the place. And when I am surrounded by the love of my faith and of my God, then that greatness makes me gloriously small. Mom says, you got to push. Don't rush, but push. It takes patience to heal, but it's real easy to let people do things for you. Bring me some tea. Help me brush my teeth. Sorry, I can't get up right now. Push. Don't give in. Push. Live. Live. Whatever that means for you in this moment today, whatever your circumstance may be in this moment today, live. Live a glorious life. Live a beautiful life. Live a life in which you are made small by the greatness of love. It's kind of a prop, the robe and the jacket comes on, you know. But I have an advantage. I get to bare myself for you. I suggest we all do the same. Because we're all one step, one diagnosis of life changing forever. And in the meantime, hope and light and love and companionship and friendship and a heart that's open and a perspective that makes you positive. Positive. Find the positivity. Find the grace. Find it and hold and cling to it like it's your lifeline. Only breath of air before everything sinks. Find the silver linings, hold them in your lungs, and search for them in the bubbles and rubbles of all that pours down around you. Find the bright spot in the dark clouds. Listen for the sounds of the birds when the winds pick up. It is there, it is there, it is always there, and it is waiting for you to reach out with both hands and hold tight to like the last thing you will ever learn how to let go. I have been made small by your grace. For your love has humbled me. Save me, dear God. Find the glory through the ache, and understand that it is what we can endure that defines who we become. That it has never been about the punches we can throw, but the punches we can absorb and still stand up from. It is the standing up. It's always been the standing up. The refusal to lie still and quiet in the numbers as the numbers count towards 10 and the knockout becomes complete. Katonti, I am humbled by your great love.
Katonti mikol hasadim mikol ha'emet asher asita et avdecha.
You have made me small.
Katonti mikol hasadim mikol ha'emet asher asita et avdecha.
From the greatness of your love. Be my salvation. Rise, my soul, rise through the flame and the ash. Rise through the waters that fill the spaces under your arms as they crawl toward your throat. Rise and find the grace, for it is all around you. Find it. Find the grace. Katonti, I am humbled by your love. Be our salvation. Katonti mikol